Hey guys, I'm Tom from Tango and Affogato, a site where I share exciting things I come across throughout my day. Today I'm going to show you how to articulate an imported assembly in Fusion 360. An imported assembly is one that was created in another CAD tool. You'll often deal with those if you work with parts downloaded from the internet or shared by suppliers. The associations between components do not transfer from designs created with other CAD tools. For this tutorial, I'm going to use this IKEA cabinet that I reproduced in Fusion 360. I took the dimensions from the IKEA website. I've laid out the cabinet box and the door in this design, and I'm going to go get a McMaster Carr half-mortise concealed hinge to make this door move. I've found an IKEA hinge on the McMaster Carr website. I'm copying the product number. I find it easier to go and look for parts in the McMaster Carr website rather than on Fusion 360's built-in product selector. Now I'm back in Fusion 360 and I'm going to create a new design in which I'm going to put that McMaster Carr hinge. From the product details, I'm going to select the 3D step format and import it in my design. Here I can see there are two bodies, one for the door leaf and one for the cabinet leaf. What I also notice is that the flap here in the middle should actually be with the cabinet leaf, but it's on the door leaf. So we're going to see how to change that. Since I'll mostly be working on the door leaf for now, which is this big part under here, I'm going to hide the cabinet leaf for now. There we go. Now I'm going to use the unstitch feature from the Surface tab in the Design workspace. This separates a body into all of its component faces. Now I want to separate the door leaf and the flap, and to do so I'm going to select all of the faces that I deem belong to the door leaf and make a new body out of those. So to do that, I'll select as many as I can with a rectangular selection and then use Shift click to select the other faces, making sure I don't select any that belong to the flap. Take these faces in here. I noticed there was a gray one here. Make sure you get all of them, including these little hidden ones that are tiny. Don't forget, we've got one underneath too. And if you happen to forget one, you can always come back later and add it. We're going to stitch this back together, accepting the default settings. Now we should have a new body down here. And if we hide it, there shouldn't be any parts still belonging to the door leaf, but there's one that was left behind here. So we'll want to select it. Now I'm going to control click in the browser over here to stitch these two together. Okay, and now if I hide this body, nothing is left that belongs to the door leaf, only the flap. And so I'm going to create another body from this flap using the same technique. Okay, so now we're left with three bodies: the flap, the door leaf, and the cabinet leaf. Now remember, joints only apply to components, not bodies. So I'm going to create components out of these bodies. And I'm naming them so that it's easier to find them in the browser. I recommend you always name your components. This makes it so much easier. This will be our door leaf. And this will be our cabinet leaf. Okay. Now I noticed with the measuring tool that McMaster Carr had included some play between this centerpiece here and the sides of the flap. I noticed that with the measuring tool. So if I inspect this, I see there are 7.4 millimeters. Whereas if I check the space between the sides of the flap, I notice there are 7.8 millimeters, so I'll create an as-built joint. There we go. Now what's left to do is to create a revolute joint between the flap and the door leaf. This will allow for the motion. It's a good practice to select the moving part first when you create a joint. So I'm going to type J for joint, and I'll want to select the center of that pin. In order to make that easy, I'm going to hide the door leaf. This way I can select the center of that pin. Now I'm going to hide the flap and show the door leaf so I can easily select the corresponding hole, making sure that I also get the center of that hole. There we go. So I've created my joint. I'm going to display the flap again. There we go. That's my joint, and by default, revolute joints revolve 360 degrees. So I'll want to change those limits. If we look at the specifications on the McMaster Carr website, we see that this hinge opens 110 degrees. I want to represent that in my design. So I'm going to define the joint limits here, and the minimum will be probably minus 20 degrees. Yeah, there we go. And my maximum, so I want it to go all the way down here, my maximum will likely be 90 degrees. Yes. So if I animate it, we'll see that this is actually the 110 degree range that we wanted. Okay, there we go. Now to make sure that this hinge works, I'm going to ground the cabinet leaf so it doesn't move. And now I should be able to grab any part of this door leaf and move it. Great. And I can move it to 110 degrees. And now all that's left to do is to use this hinge in this design. So I'm going to save this hinge. I like to save the part number so that I know exactly where this component comes from. I'm going to need 2 of these hinges, so I might as well insert both of them right now. I'm putting them somewhere they'll be easy to grab when I make the joints. J for joint. Going to attach them to the door first. Okay, I'm flipping it. I'm not sure why it goes to the back. There we go. And now I'm going to join the cabinet leaf to the cabinet. Put these points here to make that easy. All right, now I can see my door swinging the way I want. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. And as always, if you like this, make sure you click that like button. This will encourage me to make more of this content. Thanks.